Ladies and gentlemen, gentlemen and ladies, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. Oilers win 4-3 over the St. Louis Blues. Let's talk about it. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the Oilers did win 4-3 over the St. Louis Blues. So what does that mean? It means F the Blues. It means the Oilers sweep the Blues in the 3-game series, outscoring them 11-7. It means the Oilers are now 1 point officially away from clinching because Calgary got an overtime loss last night. It means that there was a lot of uncertainty going into yesterday's game. Before the game, we found out that Hopkins was sick and he would be unavailable. And then we found out right before puck drop, Wallman was sick and he'd be unavailable. So Wallman's out, Hopkins out, Draisaitl out, McDavid's out, Ekholm's out, Skinner's out, Kane is out, Friedrich is out. We've got more guys out than we have guys injured playing. And then he says, you know what? Hold my beer. I'm playing tonight. Connor McDavid comes in huge. Of course he does. 3 assists on the night. Give him 3 points against the Blues. And yes, it wasn't pretty. I'm not going to sit here and blow smoke up your asses and say, wow, that was a masterpiece of the Oilers game. The Oilers won dirty. They won ugly. They won nitty-gritty. Now, I'm not saying it's a bad thing they won dirty and they won ugly. That is what you have to do to win games in the playoffs. They're not all going to be Mona Lisas. They're not all going to be Bob Rosses painting out there. Sometimes you got to get in the shit. Sometimes you got to get in the shit and get a little bit of dirty. Sometimes you got to just put your arms knuckle deep and just go. You just play the game, grind out the game, and that's exactly what the Oilers did. They grinded out this game. It started with Perry and Binnington getting into it. I've said it before. I'll say it again. Jordan Binnington is not that good of a goalie. You get into his head case a little bit, and he becomes a space case. Do I think he should have been pulled in the first period for concussion protocol? Abso-freaking-lutely. But hey, what's good for the goose ain't good for the gander. Who knows? Maybe if they pull him for that 10-15 minutes, Hoffner comes in and he stands on his head and he becomes Vezina against the Oilers, like we all know backup goalies seem to do. Any whoosies, without further ado, here's a video for you.
shine, doing what I've shown. Never be, never see, won't see what I have been. What I felt, what I've known. Never shine, doing what I've shown. Never free, never me. So I dug the
Now, yes, ladies and gentlemen, as you saw in that graphic, the St. Louis Blues scored the first goal shorthanded. We're going to talk about that controversy a little bit here because I think it really does need to be addressed. The Blues didn't get away with just one infraction on the power play for the Oilers. They got away with two. Now, you could say, well, it doesn't matter. The Oilers won in the end. It does matter. It absolutely does matter. And I'm going to tell you, I told you so. Now, I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. I told you so. Now, why am I telling you I told you so? Remember last game we were losing our mind over the Anaheim kerfuffle, and people were saying, why didn't the coach, why doesn't the management, why doesn't the players, why doesn't anybody talk to them? Why doesn't anybody call out the referees? The Oilers players did call out the referees after the game. And publicly, they called the referees out for their lack of know-how and wherewithal on the ice. They didn't go as far as to get a fine. They walked the line of pushing, but not stepping over the line of, hey, now you're getting a fine. So instead, the referee, more specifically Francois Charon, took it upon himself to be that guy. You talked bad about my brotherhood in the reffing organization. I'm going to make sure that you're not having a good night tonight. So, off the face-off, Jeff Skinner gets rabbit punched in the head. It's off the face-off. I get the Gudis thing was missed because it was in the heat of the play. The puck was in the ref's feet. He was trying to avoid getting hit. I understand that part. I completely get why that was missed. It's a non-issue. It is what it is. We'll see you next year, Gudis, because you're never playing in the playoffs. But when it's at a face-off circle, shouldn't all eyes be on the face-off alignment? Shouldn't all refs' eyes be trained to be focusing on what's going on there? So for them to miss that is kind of blatant that they didn't miss it because they didn't see it. They missed it because they didn't want to call it. There's a difference. Anywho's, Jeff Skinner has the puck in the offensive zone, kind of bobbles it a little bit. He's got to be better with the puck there. I will 100% agree with you on that. He has to be better with puck control, puck management. That puck needs to either get in deep or retool outside the zone so that this doesn't happen. Unfortunately, he loses the puck. He's back skating like a mother trucker. And the referee on the ice doesn't understand why when a guy is going forward suddenly kind of comes to a stop and gets pulled back a little bit. Why did his momentum stop? Did he hit a wall? Did he just stop? No. He got his jersey grabbed. And you could blatantly see that he gets his jersey grabbed. That's a penalty, a penalty, a penalty, a penalty, a penalty. Of course, not called. Butterfly effect. Suter gets a power play. A shorthanded goal, his second goal of the year. Good for him. It's 1-0 Blues. Now, the Blues then get a power play. Jeff Skinner gets a 10-minute misconduct for telling the ref he's a you-know-what. And I expect Jeff Skinner to get a fine. And I will start a GoFundMe if that happens. I'll pay your fine. I'll get some people to pay your fine for you, Jeff. Honestly. It's about damn time that these refs be held accountable for the shit job they do. And the scary part is you're probably going to see Francois Charon in the finals. Despite how bad of a referee this guy is, you will see him in the Stanley Cup final. That's how this league rewards their refs. Anywhoosies, Oilers are down 1-0 after the first period. Shots are 8-5 Blues. We're thinking, oh yeah, here we go. Blues are going to beat us. All we're going to hear is how great this team is and how good Broberg has looked. Holloway wasn't in the lineup because he's hurt. May not even be ready for playoffs. I'm not going to say I told you so. But Again, we start the second period. Downtown Connor Brown gets himself on the goal sheet. Assisted by McDavid. It is 1-1. We're excited. We're happy. Then Pods, Coles, and this kid can play. Like, as much as people are ragging on him, why isn't he producing more? He's not a goal scorer. If you look at Pod Colson's body of work, he's more of a assist or complimentary player, I'll say. And hey, I like his game. I like what he brings. I like when he's that's the thing about players like Pod Colson. When he's on, he's on, and you can see he's on, and you can see how good he can be. But when he's not fully on, you kind of see the game that is not great. Not bad, but not great, right? Like you can just tell when players aren't on, it really looks like, wow, this player is just not good. Unlike the McDavids, the Draisaitl's, and to an extent the Hopkins, when they're not on their game, you can still kind of not see that they're not having their A game. Like, sure, it's a little bit of step, but it's still better than most. Unfortunately, when Pod Colson has a B game, it looks terrible. Anywho's, shots after the second period. It is 2-1 Edmonton after the second period. Shots after the second period. St. Louis had 8 shots again in that period. The Oilers had 7. So 8-5 after 1, 8-7 after 2. So we move on. It's tough. Like, it's tough sledding out there. Both teams don't want to lose this game. Both teams want to solidify themselves as playoff teams. And of course, wouldn't you know it, Kyrou scores in the third period pretty freaking early, his 34th of the year. How early, man? How early did Jordan Kyrou score in the third period? 14 seconds. That can't happen. I don't care. I don't care if you're Calvin Pickard. I don't care if you're Stuart Skinner. I don't care if you're Terry Sawchek. I don't care. That goal cannot go in. Like, it just can't. There's 14 seconds into the period. Yes, the team in front of him didn't do anything to help him out. I get that. I understand that. Trust me, I will defend goalies to my dying breath. But, again, we are now tied 2-2. Little while longer, we got a kid named Arvidsson. Just a young little kid. Minute 41 seconds. So, little over a minute later, Arvidsson gets his 14th, assisted by Kulak and Nurse. Yes, it was on a delayed penalty. That ref's arm was up there for a while. Love to see it. Anywho's, 4.5 minutes later, Bushnevich gets his 19th of the year. Again, defensive breakdowns. Just clean it up, guys. It's 3-3. We are getting late in the game. Oilers get a power play. It lasts all of 5 seconds because apparently a thing that happens 8 out of 10 times on a face-off dot, McDavid gets called for. Again, this is a referee trying to insert his dominance in a game that he has no business trying to do that in. Dude, let the players play. If you're going to call that, you got to call it every time there's a face-off because that interference play happens 8 out of 10 times on the face-off. The Oilers do it 8 out of 10 times. The other teams do it 8 out of 10 times. Every team does it 8 out of 10 times on a face-off. And you call it twice out of 10. Sucks for the Oilers. They had a brief power play. St. Louis had their own brief power play. They didn't do anything on it. And then, with less than a minute to go in the game, Connor Brown wins it for the Oilers. His second goal of the night, his 11th of the season, assisted by McDavid and Bouchard. It's 4-3 Edmonton. Never in doubt. Shots in the third period, 11 for the Oilers, 10 for St. Louis. Again, overall shots, 26-23 for the Blues. Face-off percentage, 60% for the Blues, 39% for the Oilers. Obviously, you only had one guy out there that could take faceoffs at any rate for the Oilers, which was McDavid. No Hopkins in the lineup, no Draisaitl in the lineup. That might be the weak spot if one of those two players go down. Noah Phillip, loved the kid. He got called up. He played today. You're just not good at faceoffs, and that's okay. You're developing. It'll come. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do is take faceoffs. How long has it taken for McDavid to get mediocre at faceoffs? Power plays, both teams are 0 for 2. The Oilers had 21 penalty minutes. The Blues had 11. The hits were 21 to 10 for the Blues. Block shots 15 to 12 for the Blues. Giveaways, 26 giveaways for the Blues, 14 for the Oilers. 6 takeaways for the Oilers, 5 takeaways for the Blues. You want to get into some numbers? Let's get into some numbers. Binnington's save percentage. As you all know, I like to look at people's saves percentage. No, I don't, because I don't believe in that thing. He was an .826. 4 goals against, 19 saves on 23 shots. Compared to our boy Picard, again, not very stellar. He was an .885, 23 saves out of 26 shots. 3 goals against. Now, he didn't have a .900 save percentage. For all you people that do care so much about save percentages, Picard didn't have a .900, but he won the game. Save percentage means donkey. It means donkey. Win the game. I don't care if you've got a 700, a 600, a 500, a 900, a 1,000. Win the freaking game. They did. Like I said, the Oilers win late. They win ugly. It was not pretty. Perry is back to being Perry. I really hope this is the Perry we get in the playoffs, because if that's the case, we're going on a run. We may go streaking, as they say. Again, McDavid looked great. Back in the lineup kind of surprisingly early. But you kind of had a feeling when you heard Hopkins was out, Draisaitl's out, they needed somebody to take faceoffs. I'm not going to say he wasn't hurt, but he didn't look like he'd been on the shelf at all. That could just be due to his greatness. But let's talk about the out-of-town scoreboard, because that is kind of important. Again, we had a lot going on last night in the Chell. Not very many games, but a lot of action that concerned the Oilers and the Blues, both teams respectively. Now, excuse me. The Maple Leafs beat the Lightning 4-3 in overtime. The Philadelphia Flyers just, I don't know. Rangers, rebuild, do something, like figure it out. Get your circuit out of there, give them a chance to win something. Rangers lose 8-5. The Minnesota Wild cough up the lead and almost lose to the Sharks. Unfortunately for them, they win in overtime 8-7. 8 spots. 8-5, 8-7. We talked about when was the last time the Oilers scored 8 goals. It hasn't happened this year. They scored 7 once. Is the highest goals they scored against a team. And it happened way back when. Anywho's, Oilers win 4-3, and the Mighty Ducks of Anaheim beat the Calgary Flames in overtime 4-3. That's good news for the Oilers, good news for the Flames as well, not so good news for the St. Louis Blues. Yes, I'm going to harp on it because I'm telling you right now, and you can fact check me, you can check me, you can do what you want, but what I'm going to say is factual and true. You may not like what I got to say, but it's the truth. During their 12-game win streak, the St. Louis Blues were scoring goals at a clip. Their shooting percentage was above 700. I believe it was like between 630 and 720 for their shooting percentage. That's not sustainable. Anybody that knows anything about shooting in hockey, having that high of a shooting percentage clip is not sustainable. Case in point tonight. Case in point the other night against Winnipeg. Back-to-back L's in regulation. I'm not going to say they're Fukazis, but they might be Fukazis. Also, I'm just going to wrap it up right quick. I'm a little disappointed in the St. Louis Blues fans that were talking so much crap to me. All those Blues fans that were telling me how Oilers suck and I know nothing. Where were you guys? You didn't show up in the chat. I open invitation to all the Blues fans. Didn't show up. Huge shout out to Bunny, though. Bunny is a Blues fan that shows up to every stream of ours. He got it last night. He got it. He got a little bit of the ribbon. But hey, it was all in good fun. You guys have a good night. We will be back on Friday. San Jose's in town. The boys will be back in town. Oh, the boys will be back in the lineup. I'm expecting some fireworks. I'm expecting a 7-goal game. That's right, I said it. I'm expecting a 7 spot. Friday. I will see you guys then. My name is Matt for OilersFanReaction. Thank you for watching. Subscribe, like, comment. See you Friday. Doses.